Hello? I believe we're back. If you guys can let me know in the chat. Sorry about that. The internet went out. So let me get this out there. Everything's good. Please let me know. Loud and clear. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I apologize for that. Not really sure. The internet went out everywhere. So it is what it is. Where we were at before was we were watching this inversion fair value gap. We ran above the buy side liquidity. Now, I know some of you may have been looking at this wanting to basically continue long here. And to me, all we did was return into this bearish fair value gap, run out buy side liquidity. So I'm not particularly sold on going long here. Like I said, this could turn into very seek and destroy. We're running out buy stops and sell stops. Let me just make sure the stream is good. If you guys could put in the chat if the stream is healthy, if it's good, if you can hear me, nothing's going out, I would really, really appreciate it. Because it's hard to toggle back and forth here. Thank you, Jazz. Okay, thank you. I know you guys are all trading too, so. Okay, thank you guys, thank you. Like I said, where we left off before the stream went down was watching this inversion fair value gap. We came down into that. We set price higher above the buy side liquidity. Now this is where you're utilizing higher time frame context, and that's the reason why I have these things still annotated, is all we did was return into the SIBI here. And if you look at the 5-minute, you're taking out buy side liquidity, seeing a displacement lower. So that is a technical short-term scalp, but for me, I'm just not in that type of mindset right now where I want to go for that. There's 5 handles that could have produced off of the inversion for value gap, which is fine, but I'm rather looking for more or less a larger handle trade. Reason for that is I don't have to spend as much mental capital, and I don't have to look for so many different trades throughout the week. I can really go for 1-2 fruitful setups and then kind of move aside. So that's, like I said from the beginning of the stream, what I'm trying to annotate. So now that we've displaced lower in here, if we were truly, truly bullish, we should have respected these PD rates. So looking at price right now, this 1-hour SIBI, the 30-minute SIBI in here, the 15-minute, and even the 5-minute, that's being problematic as far as if you want to continue to look for longs, in my opinion. I'm not particularly sure right now, and it's perfectly okay to say that. I'm going to scan down on this here. The 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5. Could we potentially look for a short in here? We could, but I would probably need a supporting factor. I have to take a look at the dollar here. I'm a little disjointed after the internet went down, so I'm trying to regain where everything is at. There's no bearish SMT. Looks like NASDAQ went higher alongside YM and ES. If we close on the 15-minute time frame here, with this being a bearish order block, and let's just say the 5-minute here, if you look fractally, this is going to be a breaker, but if we leave a fair value gap in here, it could set us up for a potential short. And the context would be is you ran out buy-side liquidity, you returned into a higher time frame SIBI, we've seen a displacement lower, we're seeing a shift underneath that low there. So if the 15-minute closes and we have a 15-minute bearish order block, we could potentially see something that could send price lower, and I'd be seeking that 1 hour fair value gap in here. And that'd be off the context as well that the dollar would want to climb higher into its volume imbalance that I mentioned. And if we don't get a closure underneath that low there, and this doesn't turn into a bearish order block, then I'm basically neutral. But it looks like to me that NASDAQ just returned into its SIBI, and it would want to seek sell side, potentially. Which is why I'm going to wait and see what price closes and looks like. I don't have it pulled up right now, but the 1 minute time frame has a SIBI at, if you're on New York local central time, 10:07. So just mark that out in time. There's going to be a small 5-minute fair value gap in here. Let's see if the 4-minute has one in here with a balanced price range. I would like supporting factors of the 2-minute and the 3-minute being nested, but I don't see anything really in there. There's a small one in there. I don't mind the 4-minute. I actually really don't mind it. So we have a small 5-minute in here. It's not the best closure underneath that low, but this to me now looks like it could be a supporting bearish order block. So do we return into the opening there to send price lower? We may not even get a retracement, so we'll just have to wait and see. But I'd keep your eye really on the 4-minute. To me, that's the clearest fair value gap. And we may just want to IOFED it. The 1-minute as well. I'm just trying to gauge what the risk would be. I'd be looking for 10 handles, but 41.25. So we move up into here. If you look at the 1 minute, there is a bearish breaker. So I went ahead and went short. I know it's not on the screen right now. My entry's right in here. My stop loss is going to go right above that high. So I'm only risking 3 handles. I'm going to see if we can get underneath this low here. I'd like to prefer to go for 10 handles. But we'll see. Like I said, it may very well get stopped out on this. It looks very... If we don't move away from the 1 minute SIBI quick, could just be a seek and destroy day. Because I don't see a reason for price to continue higher from here after taking out buy side liquidity. So if you're wondering, it's off the context that we took out buy side liquidity, displacement lower, shipped underneath that low there, fair value gap here, 15-minute bear shorter block, took out buy side liquidity, returned into a higher time frame premium SIBI, and then do we want to seek a discount BISI? That's the overall idea and context to what I'm looking at. So I'm just going to do this. So my stop loss is above that high. I'm going to scan down. To me, it really needs to displace quickly away from the 1 minute. And then seek the low there. It's also off the context that I would like to see the dollar continue higher and seek the volume imbalance. But it is spending a little bit of time in here that I don't like. There's a small one in here. But I think the 4 minute gives a decent context. Like I said, you're only risking 3.5 handles, so It's really not that big of a deal. There's that small 5-minute in there. So to me, this is the 2022 mentorship, is you're running out buy stops, displacement lower, shift underneath that low there, fair value gap here, sell side liquidity. And that's really all it is. It's just executing the model, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I didn't notice this, but we did close here, and we have a 4-hour SIBI that we IOFED'd so far. So all I'd be looking for is, can we tag that low there, and can we potentially run into that discount for value gap? And then can we turn into this 1-hour BISI there? And the 15-minute, we have supporting factor of that bear shorter block here. Moved off to the 15-minute. It's spending a lot of time, which I don't particularly like. It would need to kind of move out of this range here pretty quickly. Otherwise, I'm not going to like it. We are in high resistance liquidity run signatures, so we saw that on last Thursday with the trade, is where it takes a lot of time and it spends a lot of time inside of PD arrays and then displaces away from it. So we could see that as well. You just have to let your stop loss do the job and pay it to do its job. I like the way the bodies are respecting the discount low of that SIBI there. And if I was looking at it from the other perspective, right, trying to be a detective, I can't really make the case for this going higher. I don't see a reason for this to go higher. And if it does, then it is what it is, but I don't particularly see a reason to go long. I could just put this. So it's going to be right at that high there. And why for that? Because the fair value gap is created by 3 candles. That candle, this candle, and that one. Your stop loss needs to go above the second one, not just above that premium in there, because it could very well wick it and then displace lower. I mean, the 1 minute, the bodies are telling the story, but it's spending a lot of time in here. So there is a second one above it. So from here, it would really need to displace lower. If we get a closure above this SIBI there, then I'd probably close out the trade. Which very well looks like it. So I'm going to wait for the closure, but so I'm still paying attention to the time, seeing what the closure looks like. If we closed above it, then I'll automatically close it. So we didn't close above it. Still not a good sign. It's not particularly what you want to see in price. It's very seek and destroy. Ran out sell stops, ran out buy stops. So I'm not surprised. If it ends up working out, then great. But all I'd be looking for at that point is just for this low. We got NASDAQ moving lower, which is good. Hopefully Dow can get in sync. Let me take a look at the dollar. Not really supporting much. And that's why stop loss placement is so important and so crucial, and paying attention to closures and not just prematurely exiting out of trades. I've done that a lot, is where you'll see a run above a fair value gap and you'll close the trade, and then it didn't even close above it, and then it moves in your favor. So I think that's really key and important, just letting the stop loss do his job and paying it to be there. So I'm observing the 1 minute. I know it's not on the screen. It would need to kind of move out of this pretty quickly. And like I said, if we get the closure on the 1 minute above its SIBI, then I'm going to go ahead and close the trade out. So this is what you can expect with CPI ahead of you, or any major news event drivers. Seek and destroy days, very consolidation, high resistance, not respecting PD arrays. It's completely normal. Doesn't mean you're wrong as an analysis or as an analyst, or you're bad. It's a good thing to be aware of, reducing your risk in those type of environments. So we still haven't got the closure above the 1 minute SIBI, but I believe we're about to get it. So it's all not good signs for lower prices. Still haven't closed above the 1 minute SIBI. Do we just get a displacement lower from here now? It's really what I'd like to see. I would need to see some type of speed or movement away from here. Yes, I am trading live. It's not on the screen, but I'll show you after. It's on an MT4 account. I'm doing a prop firm challenge, so um, I was going to discuss this earlier, but I didn't have enough time. I'm going to show you guys how to walk through a prop firm challenge. So I'll show you after. It's not on my screen. It's on another monitor. I just don't really want to have it up while you guys are watching this. I'll show you the execution and where I exited as well. Regardless if this hits take profit or stop loss, I don't really care. Again, this is why stop loss management is so important, because if you put it above this premium of that fair value gap, and this is a balanced price range in here, if you did that, you would have been taken out. So putting it above that, per the rules, is very important. So let's say we close like this in 50 seconds. That becomes a bearish order block. Do we respect that to send price lower? At that point, my stop loss would go above that high, because there's no reason that price would need to trade through this, in my opinion, if that does become a valid bearish order block. Can we seek the sell side here? I'm going to see if on other time frames what else. Like I said, the whole premise to the trade is just looking to see if we can get lower prices into those discount higher time frame BISIs. If you did want to project into the future here with standard deviations from that high down to this low, you have half a negative standard deviation and then a full standard deviation down here. So if we even get a displacement like that, those could be potential targets. But so in the 5 minute, we got a small closure. I would like to see this being respected personally. And if you look on the 1 minute, we have a couple SIBIs. So to me, those need to be respected, and it needs to displace away from those quickly. So we just moved up into the 1 minute. Which I guess I could show. So that one there. So to me, it needs to move away from here quickly. I don't want to see it spending a whole bunch of time in here. Dollar, it's not really doing much. So if you entered off of this first fair value gap, your stop loss would have went here, and then 5 handles is there. So I want to see, depends how fast, if we start moving aggressively, can we get 10 handles? That's what I would prefer. So right about half a negative standard deviation from this last dealing range. And then can we move into that 1 hour BISI again. NASDAQ looks like it wants to continue lower as well, which is a good sign. YM's following suit. That's just me adjusting take profit there. No, I'm not using a future prop firm. I can do a long form discussion of prop firms and what my opinion is of a lot of them, especially future prop firms. I went with My Funded FX. I think what they're doing is going to change probably the prop firm industry. What I most importantly like is no time limit. Somebody asked me this yesterday in the Telegram about prop firms, and I think majority of the time that people make a lot of mistakes is due to that time limit, because you're forced to make a lot of mistakes, so you're trying to trade outside of your model because you're trying to make profits. So the fact that they have no time limit, to me, that they're actually caring about the trader and they care about them just looking for their model, and it doesn't matter how long it takes to make that percentage. So we're going to see. I'm testing them out. I'll show you guys the journey and kind of how it goes throughout this whole process. As far as the stop loss placement, if you look at the 4-minute, which is really the context, a fair value gap is 3 candles. 1, 2, and 3. Your stop loss needs to go above the second candle that creates the fair value gap. So that high there. It's not a very good sign that you're moving back into this. It's all high resistance, very lethargic. So I'm not a huge fan of this price action, to be honest. If we don't move away from this, I'd say about the next 5 minutes, I'm going to collapse the trade. We're spending way too much time in here. So if you're looking at the 1 minute here, if we get a closure above that, then I'm just going to collapse the trade. Let me take a look at the 4 minute again. Yeah, I'm going to collapse the trade here. So I took let me see. I'll be completely transparent with you guys. I don't care. So let me just make sure. And if this does move away and hits my take profit, I really don't care. We spent way too much time. I want to be in a very low resistance liquidity run signature type of day. You're spending a lot of mental capital just sitting in this. So this is the first trade of the prop firm challenge. So I took a $900 loss, 872. So it's less than 1%, 0.5%. And that's how you should be doing these type of challenges, is risking very little, looking for 10, 20 handles, and that way you can divide up the weeks where you're going for, 1-2% a week. And if you can do that, it can only take about a month to complete step 1. Then step 2 is 5%. You divide that up in a month. You do for 2% a week. Technically, it should take you 2 months to do it. And you're going for very low-hanging fruit. That's to say you're not taking any losses, of course. But in this type of environment, I mean, look at it. This is nothing that I would particularly see as high probability. I mean, at that point in time, to me, it seemed like we were going to continue lower, take out sell side. But we just spent way too much time in here. I couldn't make the case for price going higher. So I followed my rules. I executed everything that was set in place for me. And that's it. It's not the end of the world. Just because you take one loss as a trader doesn't determine your entire career. So per my rules, I have 2 trades a day that I can limit myself to personally. But that's only if I get something wrong and then I can see myself getting back into realignment with price. I mean, currently there's nothing in here that I personally like. And I'm going to elect to believe it's really a large part to do with CPI. And this is how just taking yourself out of the trade early. I mean, I could have kept myself in here, had my stop loss above here, and took a larger loss than necessary. Or you just cut the trade out early. And you save yourself mental capital, frustration, sitting inside of the trade wondering. I'd rather just cut the trade loose and be done with the day. Most people don't know how to take losses, and I've taken so many of them over the last 5 years. It doesn't faze me. So it shouldn't either. Like, as long as you follow your rules, risk management, money management, it's all going to turn out well in the end. So I'm happy you guys get to see me take a loss. So there'll be more trades. We'll see about tomorrow as far as CPI, what plays out. Should clear up price and what it wants to do. I know a lot of you are asking a lot of questions in the chat, so I'm going to try to read through that. Yeah, My Funded FX. You can find them on Twitter. I think they're really great. So far, I've had no complaints with them, which is the first trade on it. And I'll walk you guys through the entire process of it. I'll be completely transparent because I don't think anybody is really that transparent in this industry at all. I'm just watching price currently. I mean, I could sit with you guys and just tape read. I'm not going to take another trade in here unless something was like extremely apparent to me. But there's just no reason for me, at least, to look for another trade unless we closed above, let's say, this 15-minute Sibian here. And I was aware that the overall narrative or bias, at least for me, is long, and I was kind of shorting that, which is perfectly okay, as long as you know that you're looking for a price to potentially reach into a discount before continuing higher. We're still residing inside of that 4-hour BISI here, daily BISI. It's just been very lackluster. Yeah, so if you look at the opening range here, we've only moved 11 handles, so it's nothing significant. We still have the RTH gap. I haven't forgot about it. So we could potentially want to seek that. I'm looking at, I didn't mean to do that. We look at NASDAQ and YM here. Yeah, there's still just nothing in here. Nothing that I particularly I have clarity on. So hopefully that makes sense as far as how to take a loss, stop loss management, when you should close out of the trade early, not taking more than a loss than necessary. Um, I've gone over the daily time frame on ES many times. If you go over my weekly forecast on Telegram, I'm sure it should give you some clarity. So I'm probably going to log off here. We're moving into at least my 10 o'clock hour and then lunch hour. Maybe the PM session will be fruitful today, but only way I'd really see that happening is if we moved above this 15-minute SIBI and use this as an inversion level to send price into the buy side liquidity. But even just looking at higher time frames, it just doesn't look, I would say, ripe or ready to move higher. We'd have to really move away from this 4-hour BISI and even the daily BISI, and we may well just be waiting for price to wait for CPI to expand higher or lower. So that's going to be it for today, guys. I apologize for the live stream going down earlier. I know it was a little bit unorganized in the beginning there. So we took a loss today, about 4 handles. We'll make it back by the end of the week, and if not, that's perfectly okay as well. So I appreciate all you guys being on here. I'll update throughout tonight. If I'm going to live stream tomorrow, what's going to be the plan. All right, so until next time, good luck and good trading, everybody. Be safe.